Doc, what's going on? Bish. J-Man, what's going on? We're just trialing it on the Saturday, just for this week chat, but probably get back to Sunday next week. Just want to see what the turnout is, how many people rock up, and if they miss it, then obviously they can watch it back. How do we go this week? Toby, what's going on? Ben, Drods. How do we go this week, boys? Fang, what's going on? I'm feeling better, bro. Feeling much better. Wednesday was probably the worst day. That was probably the peak for me, to be honest. So feeling a lot better since then. Poverty Bencher, what's going on? Alright, let's get straight into it. Won't drag it out too long, chat. We'll go straight through it. So, Percy, what's going on? For the price example, so for this was posted in the markups and feedback. Straight off the bat, that's an internal protected low over there. So, change internal protected high to internal protected low. Lou, what's going on? YZ. Yeah, Clippers actually got a win, but Harden will probably go shit again next game. So let's say that this was, let's say that price is having a correction here. External factors are lying for longs. Let's talk about let's talk about some zones here that made the criteria pretty well. So, first zone we have is this one over here. So this is obviously on the 1 minute. So this top zone. It's for my plan, for my criteria, top zone is priced a little bit too high for me to consider high probability. So therefore it's going to be a lower probability zone. Santi, what's going on? So top zone, even though it does have the imbalance and whatnot, purely based off the pricing, that falls under the lower probability category for me, for my zones. Next possible zone that you could probably use, probably this one over here. This last black down candle right here with the engulfing and the imbalance. This one does make a little bit more sense. So middle zone with the engulfing candle and the imbalance is priced a little bit more reasonably and is a demand for me to consider, and it would be higher probability for me. So this engulfing candle, the imbalance, the way we're priced as well, after a decent correction, this zone is just below the 50% of the leg, priced pretty decently, so that's a zone I can consider. One more will probably be the one at the protected low, so lower zone at the protected low. No imbalance, but inducement in the form of this. So these two lows here, this low and this low, we can consider that as inducement. Inducement as well as an engulfing POI. which meets our criteria, and we are also priced really well at the protected low. So all in all, probably 3 potential zones here. Only 2 really make sense for me. This one over here and this one over here. This one's just priced a little bit too high up in the leg for me. So because of that, it falls under a lower probability zone for me. Bottom 2 fall under a higher probability zone. So I fix up the protected low over here, switch the labeling. And there's something like this. Obviously, a couple of zones here, only 2 really meet my criteria to be classed as high probability zones. So hopefully that makes sense. Just a quick little example critique in one of your setups in the markups and feedback, and just going through some zone selection here as well. So we'll jump into today's topic. So it's accepting losses. Most of the time when we enter the day and we're looking for a trade, we're pretty selective with the first trade we take, right? And if something meets our criteria, sometimes we hesitate. And one of the reasons why I think we hesitate is, we're not trusting our data, and we're not trusting, the amount of forward tests and the amount of back tests that we've had. Like, if you guys have a few hundred trades of data, realistically, there shouldn't be any reason that you're hesitating on your setups. And, basically it just leads me to believe that you guys aren't comfortable with your losses and you don't really understand your system that much. So, a checklist to understand your losses, understand the maximum consecutive losses of your system, understand your maximum drawdown, understand your maximum wins. If your system is a low win rate, high risk to reward system, then you really shouldn't be scared of the losses, because you don't really need them. You don't really need to avoid the losses to maintain a high win percentage system, right? Georgie, what's going on? So I can understand if you're running a high win percentage system, you'd be pretty hesitant to, place the trades, because you'd be scared of the losses, because a couple of losses in your system is going to be it's going to take a lot of trades to get yourself back up to break even and get yourself back into profit. So the checklist I want you guys to focus on is understanding your maximum consecutive losses, understanding your maximum drawdown, understanding your maximum wins. And how do we do that? Had to bring this up again because most of you guys do need it. So I've put my system into the Monte Carlo simulation. I've just put $1,000 for equity here, 0.3% risk, 20% win rate, 20% break even, 40 trades a month, over 5 years, 7 risk to reward, so pretty standard. So like I said, understanding your maximum drawdown, roughly. Losses are like a business expense. Exactly, that's a very good way to think about it. So I can basically lose 34 times in a row before technically underperforming and I'm not really following my system. And I know what to expect with my losses basically, right? I can take a couple of losses and I can still look at my system and be like, alright, there's still more losses that I can accept before I'm not really performing to the expectations of my system. And then with my wins, basically my mentality with this is after I get like 1 or 2 wins in a row, if I get 2 or 3 wins in a row, I'm basically expecting a loss to come sooner or later, right? Because I understand my system. I'm not expecting to win forever. I'm not expecting to lose forever, right? You just got to find the perfect balance of both. And this is going off an 18% win rate, right? So the win rate's really not that high over here. But you can still see it still pretty much grows the account pretty nicely, right? Year 1, 1,000, year 2, 2,000, year 3, 10,000, 29,000 to 100,000. So with your losses, you honestly just have to get comfortable with it. And having a couple losses here followed by a win. Like this should be like, you guys should have so much data on this already, right? Like I said just before, if you have a couple hundred trades of data, you should be comfortable with your wins and your losses. You should be able to have a rough estimate, like, for every 4 or 3 losses that I go on, I'll hit in the next couple of trades, I'll hit 1 or 2 winners, and my system will do its thing, and I'll be up 6 or 7 R for the week. So just having the checklist and going back into this again, because this is actually a really good tool and I really like it, because I've covered this a couple times before in the past, because you can go with most possible scenario, you can go with worst scenario, and you can go with best. And you can track how you're going throughout the year, right? So this is my system. I had one red month this year, and I had a very close red month. It was only up like 1 or 2%. And if you look here, pretty much replicates what I've done this year, right? Basically a break-even month, 1 losing month, and the rest have been good. So this actually emulates my system pretty well, and I know I'm on the right path because I've inputted what my data reflects, and based off my performance, I'm following the most possible scenario right now. Not the worst, not the best, the most possible, right? And this is on the lower end as well, 18% win rate. But I think the key for you guys is understanding how many times you can lose before you can say that, all right, I'm not really following my system. I think that's going to be very important for you guys. And also when you're coming off a big week, I've noticed this a lot with myself. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but when I come off a really good week, usually the week after is not going to be as good. Like let's say I come off a really good week. Usually the week after, it's not really going to be as good. It's going to be a little bit dialed down, right? So keep that in mind, adjust your expectations. Especially if you come off a good week, right? Next week's probably not going to be as good because let's be honest, conditions were probably good in the week that you traded really good. If you have a bad week, let's be honest, conditions are probably weren't that good and you were trying to trade anyway. So next week, if the conditions are good, next week should technically be a lot better, right? So it's just finding a balance between the two with your wins and your losses, like I said before, and just understanding your system. Because if you understand your system, you'll feel a lot more confident. You understand, all right, look, losses are necessary. Some months are going to be like this. Some months are going to be red. Some months are going to be break even. Some months are going to be really good. Some months are going to be average. Like, I think you guys just need to, like it's nothing's going to be just winning all the time, right? And even your losses, like, you're not going to lose all the time either. You're not going to win all the time. You're not going to lose all the time. Make a checklist. Follow your system. And just work off the percentages as well. Don't think about the money. Because honestly, like, I was pretty annoyed when I dropped that month early in the year. But obviously I responded really well. I was pretty happy with how I responded. But one of the changes that I made in these last 6 months was just focusing on the percentages and just keeping my risk management really tight as well. I think that's one of the biggest adjustments I could have made, because 6 months is a long time, right, to be green every single month. Very long time, and a couple of those months weren't that nice to trade as well. So you just gotta think about things as a percentage. Try to think systematically. And there's nothing wrong with getting your feet wet, like at the start of the week. Sometimes, yeah, you want to start the day good. You want to start the week good. But chances are, sometimes you're going to take a loss and it'll reveal what the actual setup is, right? Like let's say, like over here on this chart, let's say you take a setup over here and you're covering the high, right? Covering the high like this, and you get taken out, right? And then you zoom out and then you see price failed to close above, right? And then you look to take another setup, and then you can take a setup off that, right? Sometimes you take a loss and it clears up the picture for you. You can see the bigger picture. Sometimes it's like that, and when I think about things like that, I don't really get scared of the losses, because if I'm taking a loss and it's taken out a protected high, or if it's taken out a protected low, then it's showing me, you know, that price is reversing or something, right? So like for example, let's say here I take a short continuation over here, and then, you know, we get this, and then I get taken out, and then we're getting something like this. Instead of trying to force shit and not read what's happening, I've taken the loss here. Okay, cool. Now we've gotten a new high, and we've had a pullback, and it meets our entry model, and external factors are bullish. Now I can just change my analysis and look for a long, right? Most of the time when you take a loss, it's usually met by adjustments, and usually the adjustments are pretty good. Also ties into being patient as well. I found that being patient with your losses, like being patient and then taking your losses, is actually pretty good, because if you're like, let's say price is let's say that after this here, we've tried to take shorts off here, 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 and here, rather than waiting at the protected high. You know, you would have taken all these losses over here, but if you were patient and you took the loss off here, be a little bit more satisfying, right? Because you've avoided all these losses over here. You were patient. Okay, didn't work out over here. But now it failed to close above. Now shorts are actually becoming high probability, right? So it's really just adjustments, and that's the way I like to think of losses. Because if I'm taking a loss, I've made a mistake with my entry or my bias. So you gotta figure out, did I make a mistake on my entry or my bias? So figure out if I made a mistake on my entry or my bias. Once I have found out, it's either you fix your bias or wait for another entry that meets your plan. That's really all it is, right? Fix your bias or wait for another entry that meets your plan. If you realize you're underperforming, would you... look, because if you're underperforming, it's probably for a reason. It's probably because of the conditions, or... Like, honestly, you're only going to be able to find out why you're underperforming by looking back at the data in that trading period. You get me? Patrick, what's going on? That's what I didn't do this week. Try to fall shorts and wasn't adapting, adjusting. Yeah, that's... If you're taking losses, something's going wrong, and you just need to adjust. That's all it is. Don't try to keep forcing the shorts. Don't try to keep forcing the shorts. Just wait, be patient, go do something, come back. Because if you got something wrong, you've got something wrong, right? Chances are you're probably going to get the next thing wrong. So I'd probably wait and be a bit patient. Because usually when you're patient and you've missed out on the losses that you would have taken, and you take like one loss up here, and then you're like, all right, well, at least we're at the top of the structure now. Now I can wait to see if we can get some clear direction. Look, if order flow is going away from the gap, then obviously it's not that relevant, right? So obviously the gap's all the way up here. But if we get confirmation on structure and we start to go bullish, then obviously we know it's going to start to head towards the gap. So I just keep the gap in mind when we do shift order flow, because if we're shifting order flow, then it's probably going to start making its way up here. That's just something to keep in mind. But honestly, look at the pricing on the 4 hour. We're having a pullback at the moment. I did this in the outlooks. Honestly, it's probably going to find some form of demand over here, because look, it's all within bullish structure, right? It's within bullish structure over here. So probably going to find some demand here, and we'll probably make our way up towards here, since it's counter trend, this pullback over here. But does this make sense, chat? Just going through accepting losses, understanding your losses, understanding your system, and just these key parts of your system as well. Your maximum consecutive wins, your maximum consecutive losses, your maximum drawdown. Does that make sense, chat? Let me know. Makes sense? Perfect. Perfect. All right, good. Good. If you're following your plan and if you're staying patient, you have to don't forget patience as well, because forcing it, like, yes, there's a win coming, but forcing your losses is pretty bad. Just being patient and waiting, especially when you're on the wrong side of the market and you've been wrong for most of the week, just being patient in those time periods, it definitely helps. Solid. Alright, awesome. Awesome. I didn't want to drag you guys out too long because it's Saturday night and I know you guys probably have things to do tonight, so we'll jump into the news. We'll see what's cooking for next week. We'll have a look at the outlooks and then we'll wrap it up. I just don't want to waste you guys' time too much tonight. Alright, so Monday, nothing too much happening. Might be a slow start to the week, chat, so keep that in mind. Tuesday, some RBA press conference. Probably not going to be too crazy on Tuesday, so that should be fine to trade on that day. Wednesday, more press conferences, high impact news here. Probably should be, look, we'll see how we go, because we'll see how we go on the live, because we do have this around the time. Start of London. Start of London? No, 6 a.m. This one's in London, RBA. Thursday looks pretty busy for Euro. To be honest, whole week looks good. Whole week looks decent. There's nothing too crazy happening. But following week will be NFP week, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Alright, so this is what we got at the moment. To be honest, it's kind of hard to do. It's kind of hard to see where we're at, but I guess if we get rid of this, because we have gotten a new low now, gap's been filled over there. So this is what we got. Big break of structure over here. So we might see some form of pullback like this. Kind of an awkward position, chat, I'm not gonna lie. Because we do have that gap over here. We just got that new low, so my best bet will probably be a correction of some sort. So I'll just have an alert up here just on this really small lower high over here. And if we do end up coming lower, then keep that in mind as well. Actually, you know what? Probably when we get up into this supply, I think the supply POI over here will be alright just to see if price is doing its correction or not. Alright, let's see what we got in AU. AU's a little bit easier actually, because we're at this 4-hour high, right? Remember, we failed to close above here. There was apparently a weak low, but then price respected demand over here. Now we've come back up. Then we failed to put in a new high again. So I'd probably be very focused on this 4-hour. Probably check it out on the 15-minute. So we'll like to see if we do take this high over here. If not, if we take these lows, happy days, right? I think either way we can play pretty well. Given on the 4-hour, if we do close above, cool, we have a structure break above. The lows will be protected, but if we fail to close above, then this low here will become weak, and overall this low here will become weak as well. So there'll be some targets for the shorts down here. Check chat. All right. Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty clean. I do like that. Thank you for that, Bish. So keep this in mind. We'll keep this alert here, because if this alert does go off, then we are coming into demand. Good spot. Thank you for that, Besh. So we'll keep this daily demand in mind, because it is within bullish structure. So that makes it a little bit more easier. If price does come into here, respects it, and this fails to close above, then there's our external factors for the week. So that makes it a lot better. Thank you for that, Besh. So I think we'll keep an eye out on that. Within bullish structure, coming into a daily demand that's valid. That did have imbalance. If I do, yeah, just a little bit, but it's basically filling most of it now. So that does make it easier. So I think we'll rock with that, to be honest. Keep it like that. AU, watch how it closes above this 4-hour high. If not, we're able to take advantage of it, and we'll get to see if price respects its demand over here as well. So I think I'm happy with that chat. Just wanted to keep today nice, short and sweet, because it's Saturday. You guys have things to do. But I just wanted to go through accepting losses. And obviously, you know, if we do take a loss, it needs to be followed by an adjustment and some patience. Was my bias wrong? Or was my entry wrong? Those are two important questions you need to ask. Probably write that down in your notes or journal somewhere. Was my bias wrong, or was my entry wrong? Because both have their own ways to be fixed, right? If you have your bias wrong, then you have to redo the whole thing. If your entry was wrong, you're still right, so you just have to fix up that entry. So hopefully you guys fucking learned something today. Probably go back to doing it on the Sunday next week as well, chat. So enjoy the rest of your night, morning, wherever you are. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday as well. I won't see you guys on the stream tomorrow, but I'll catch you boys on the Wednesday stream, and I'll see you boys on Monday as well. Thank you, J-Man. Thank you, Goal. Thank you, Thang. Thank you, Toby. 90% of the time is your entry. Yeah, entry's the hardest part. Entry is definitely the hardest part, so that's fine, bro. If you're getting your bias right most of the time, then that's already a very honestly, you're already one foot in the door to being profitable if it's just your entry. Bias should become second nature for you guys in here if you guys are just doing your external factors right. Latest dark. Thank you, Percy. Thank you, Poverty Bencher. Alright, boys. Thank you for coming out today, alright? Enjoy the rest of your day, morning. Thank you, Arthur. I'll catch you boys in the next one, alright?